All right guys, so part 3 of this bow build, we're gonna see if we can't get this thing finished out to where it'll actually shoot an arrow. If you're just tuning in, you can go over to my channel and see how we got to this point so far. What we're gonna be working on today is we're gonna keep taking material off these limbs, getting them to bend a little bit more and doing some finish work and see if we can't get it to actually shoot. All right, so it's still very stiff. We got quite a ways to go still. But I'm gonna take a second and I'm gonna file in our string nocks in the tips here. That way we can put it on the draw board and stand back and be able to bend it and see what the profile is looking like as the limbs bend. For this, I just got a chainsaw file that I use. It works pretty good, but we're just gonna try to stay right on that line. Start kind of slow to make sure we're going straight here. Oop. All right, so we got our string nocks all done, and I got this bow on the draw board here. We're gonna pull this a few times and see how our limbs are bending. It looks like both of these are still awfully stiff in the outer half of each limb there, if you can see that. All right, so we're gonna put it back. We're gonna keep taking wood off. We're gonna kind of stay away from right here, and we're gonna concentrate on the outer part for a little bit, and then we'll put it back on here and see what it looks like. All right, so we've got these limbs thinned down quite a bit. We're gonna see if we can't string this thing up. I got a string here that I had made from a different bow. This should be pretty close for this one, so we're gonna give it a try here. I think it's still pretty heavy, but we're gonna see if she'll string up. Looks like my bottom limb's a little stiffer. It's looking pretty good though. We got pretty nice even curves. She's still pretty heavy. All right, so we're just gonna keep thinning these out nice and even, trying not to get any weak spots to cause any hinges. But yeah, we're getting close. Once you get to this point, you really want to slow down. You'll be surprised how little wood you have to remove to make a big difference at this point, and it's really easy to go over your target weight. I'm shooting for about 50 pounds on this one, and it's still quite a bit heavier than that. So we're gonna keep taking wood off. This bottom limb's definitely a little bit heavier. So we're gonna take a little more off of this, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I am about at my target weight. Everything's bending pretty smooth, but I checked with a ruler, my tiller here, and my bottom limb is a little tighter. I'm about 3/8 of an inch shorter on my bottom limb, which I don't mind it being a little stiffer because I shoot 3 under, but it's a little more than I like. So we're gonna put this in the vise. We're just gonna leave it strung for this part. And we're gonna remove just a tiny bit off the belly here. If you're doing this while the bow is strung, make sure you do just a little bit at a time and then check your tiller again. But you wanna make sure to flex it before you do. All right. Right at 7 inches. 6 3/4. I might just go just a little bit more on this bottom limb. I think we're gonna call that good. All right, so we are going to call that good on tiller. Pretty much all we got left now is to cut a shelf in here if you want to. I like having a shelf myself. And then we're gonna do some finish work. Real quick, let's unstring this. I wanna see how much set this thing has taken. Little bit, not too much. I'm happy with that, I'll take it. All right, so we're gonna cut our shelf into the riser here. And I just use a hacksaw, and I like a little bit, I don't like a perfectly flat shelf. I like a little bit of a radiused shelf, so I actually am gonna make 2 cuts. We'll start here. Go slow here. Make sure everything's nice and straight how you want it. And you don't want to go too deep. I like enough, so I got plenty of room for my arrow to sit on there. But I don't want to go so deep that I risk weakening the riser. Once I get that cut as deep as I want it, I'm going to come up here and make another cut to get this back part right here. Once we get these cuts down as deep as we want, that's where we can come back in with our chisel. And we're just gonna start working this chisel down, and we're just gonna notch that stuff out of there. All right, so we got our shelf cut into the riser here. Really all we got left on this is we're gonna get the sandpaper and the files and the rasps out, and we're gonna shape our handle. We're gonna come down to our nocks and we're gonna shape those, and then we're just gonna sand everything down smooth and get ready for a coat of finish on this, and then get out and try to shoot this thing, see how it shoots. All right, so we're just going along sanding this thing down, and I'm working on the back of the limb right now. Keep in mind when you get to this point, you don't want to get too crazy sanding on the back or the belly for that matter. You want to go just enough to get any pencil marks or tooling marks out of there, because you want to remember we got one growth ring on the back of this, and sometimes these growth rings are very, very thin, and you can get too crazy sanding in one spot, and you don't want to go through that. So just take your time, and it really doesn't take too much to smooth these things out. All right guys, so it is officially 99% done. The only thing I got left is to put some sealant on the bow here. But before I do that, I like to shoot it a little bit, make sure there's no corrections on anything that need to be made. But yeah, I just roughly threw it together. I got some padding on the shelf here. That's just some kangaroo leather that I like. Slapped a quiver on, got my nocks set on my string and everything ready to go. So let's head out and string this thing up and see if it actually shoots or turns into firewood. We're gonna see. Need a new target, it's blowing through it. Let's try one more. All right guys, so that pretty much does it for this bow build. It is all but done. The only thing I got left to do is I'm gonna take some spar urethane and just seal this thing up with a few coats. But yeah, it shot good, it felt good, kicked them out pretty fast. So I need to get some arrows actually built that are matched to this bow, but those looked like they flew pretty decent. So maybe here in a week or two, I might try to get out and take this thing out and do some stump shooting and get back at some further yardages and see what it can actually do. So I hope this one helped you out, guys. Thanks for tuning in.